Hey there, it's Leslie at Leslie's Cookies and Treats, and today I'm coming at you with a Santa cookie decorating tutorial. This is just one of 6 Santas we'll make using the same cutter. But before we get started, do you want to create the cutest Christmas cookies that Santa's ever seen, or make a beautiful Christmas Village cookie set that you can serve at your holiday dinner? Well, join my online cookie decorating classes, and following step-by-step video tutorials, you'll find out everything you need to know to make cute cookies just like these and have an unforgettable Christmas dessert that's perfect for sharing or for gifting. Get more details in the description. And now we'll decorate our cookie Claus. I wanted to do a slightly different take on the normal Santa, so today I'm going to be decorating a cookie Claus. I transferred the image to my cookie using a projector, but you could also use the paper piecing method, and I have a video for that. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll also leave links for all the products I used, so be sure to read that if you want to make these cookies along with me. So my icing consistencies are all about a 15 to 20 second royal icing, and I'm just going to outline the face and flood that in. And before I did that, I also made a little line where his hat folds over, and I'm going to let that set up a little bit so that we can keep some separation there when we flood the hat. And then I decided I wanted him to have a little black mouth here, so I just put some royal icing down and used a paintbrush to flatten the icing down, and then gave him a little lip. And I also wanted his cheeks to be puffier, so I stuck my royal icing right back in the cheeks and gave it a big squeeze, and I'll use my scribe to settle it down. And you can see how it just added a little bit of puff to the cheeks. And that is one way you could add some extra dimension to areas, but you do need to be careful that it hasn't dried quite all the way, but the icing has set up enough so that when you add the extra icing, it's just going to stay right where you put it and not spread throughout the whole flooded area. Now I just went back and I outlined the rest of the hat, and I'm just going to flood that in, being careful not to go over the top of that line I made where I want the hat to look like it's folded over. So we'll just flood up close to the line, and then I'll use my scribe to move the icing around and get it out to the edges and to settle it down. And I'll just gently push it up against this line in between, showing the fold so that I don't go over the top of it. And then I decided my Santa needed even bigger cheeks, so I'm going to stick my bag of icing right back into the cheek and squeeze out some more icing and settle it down with my scribe by just gently poking up and down where I added the icing. Then I set this cookie aside to dry for about 15 minutes, and now I'm coming back in with my white icing, and I'm just going to outline the beard, and then I'll flood that in. I'm going to be careful as I flood around his mouth not to cover up his entire mouth area, but to go right on up to that lip, and I'll use my scribe to settle the icing down and really get it where I want it to go around his mouth area and out to the edges. And if your royal icing is thick enough, you can go right out to the edge of your outline, but if you have a thinner consistency royal icing, it's better to use your scribe to move the icing to the edge. And now I'm just going to flood in his eye and give it a tap with my scribe to make sure there's no air bubbles. And I'm going to just add in the pupil with the black icing and do the same thing. And then I'll give a little highlight, and we'll do the same thing to the other eye. And I set the cookie aside to dry again. I let it dry much longer this time, and now I'm just put a squiggle of icing down. I'm going to use a slightly dampened paintbrush to just kind of move the icing down and around, and I'll give it kind of a hair-like look, so it has like kind of some curls maybe to his beard, and just some texture. And I'll just keep playing with it until I have the little lines of the icing looking the way I want it to. I got a little bit on his face here, so I'll just clean off my brush and wipe it away. And then I don't need to wait for that to dry. I can go ahead and make my mustache right over the top of that. So I'm just going to outline and flood in my mustache. And then as always, I'll use my scribe to settle the icing down, make sure I pop any air bubbles, and shape it the way I want it. And then I'm going to move up to the ball of his hat. I'm going to make a chocolate chip cookie here. My icing is a little bit stiffer, and I'm just going to put in a misshapen circle and then use some dark chocolate to make chocolate chips. And then I set the cookie aside to dry for about 15 minutes, and now I'm coming back in with a light green icing, and I'm just going to make the brim of his hat. And I apologize because my hand was in the way for most of that, so I sped through it, and here we are finishing it, flooding in the brim. And as always, I'll use my scribe to settle the icing down. Sometimes in skinny sections like this, you might get a crater in your icing, so make sure that the icing gets all the way down to the cookie in the center rather than sitting up on top of the outline that you made around the edges. Then I'll grab my pink icing again and give him a nose and use my scribe to settle it down. And we can't forget Santa's bushy eyebrows. Just squeeze a big ball, stop squeezing, and drag it out to a point. And then I let my cookie dry completely, and I'm using a projector to project the word Cookie Claus, and I'm going to put that right on his hat. I made the word using the font, and I just picked a font that I liked and typed in the word that I wanted. And I'm just going to outline the font here and put it onto my cookie. And I apologize, I don't remember exactly what font I used. I forgot to write it down. So if you have a projector, you want to make sure that it's straight up and down over your cookie. And then coming at it from the side, you want to go ahead and trace over the letters with your royal icing. Your icing needs to be at least a detail consistency or medium consistency icing, around 30 to 35 seconds if you're counting. And then this cookie is done. I'll leave a link in the description, as I said, of all of the products I used. And I thank you so much for watching. There's so many ways to decorate these Santa cookies, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks again. Bye.